So this is a short video on how to block out and plan an animal or creature shot. And blocking a creature performance or creature shot isn't a million miles away from blocking out an acting or a pantomime shot. There are a lot of similarities. The basic process is the same, but there are some differences as well. So let's take a look at what those are. So first of all, here's our system for planning animation, and this is a sort of general outline of how you might approach any shot. Now watch the storyboards or the animatic if there is one, and then have a think about the shot. Don't neglect the thinking part of the process. It's very, very important. Act it out in your head so you can see it as a kind of movie. Film yourself acting it out or other people. Find good useful reference at YouTube, particularly important with animals and creatures. And then, this is super important, we don't want to skip this, draw thumbnail sketches and then time them out so that you have a plan. Then once you've done your thumbnails, you're going to make key poses in Maya. This is called blocking. Then you're going to show your key poses to the director or the supervising animator or whatever and get feedback. Then you're going to add breakdowns, blocking plus, show the director, blah, 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 blocking plus, spline and refine. And that is basically the system for any shot. But let's go into it in a bit more detail. So to begin, you're going to watch the storyboards or the story reels if you've got them. You want to think about the shot in the context of the project overall and how it fits in with the rest of the sequence. And if you're lucky enough to work on a movie like How to Train Your Dragon, you're going to have super talented board artists who are really going to give you nice poses and expressions. Otherwise, you're going to find you're going to have to rely on your own thumbnail sketches. There's also, especially with animals and creatures, as we've said, loads and loads of useful reference at YouTube. So you're going to check continuity. Remember, if you're working on a project which has a number of shots in it, your shot has to hook up with the last frame of the shot before yours and the first frame of the shot after yours. This is called checking your hookups. And it's easy to forget when you're animating your own shot that your shot has to fit in with the overall pattern of the project itself. No animator is an island. Check the storyboards. You can often find great stuff. These are by Bill Peet from Dumbo. You can often find great expressions, great poses, and these can really help you to find the key poses that you need for your shot. Think about it. Don't neglect this. Lots of people neglect the stage, but really, really think about it in your head and try and kind of plan it out. Try and see it as a movie in your head. And don't forget to act stuff out. This is a shot of me acting out a quadrupedal locomotion shot. And it can be a really, really good idea to do this. You can get yourself an inexpensive tripod from Amazon. Here's one that I recommend here. If you go to the Animation Apprentice blog, there's a blog post here from September 2017 showing a useful little tripod that's very inexpensive, just £13, and very, very lightweight. Obviously it's not a professional piece of kit, but it is good enough for you to film yourself. It's got a special attachment for your phone, so you can use your phone in order to film yourself and get great reference. And that reference can then be imported into Maya. And I'm not going to go into detail here about how to do that, but if you want to know how to use live action reference to create great animation, go to this blog post and it explains in detail how you import footage into Maya. You can do it both as a movie file or alternatively as an image sequence. Sometimes one works better than the other. Both methods are here, and actually here there's a really nice little piece of animation by one of my former students, Henry Fenwick, showing how he used live action reference to create some animation here. So it's a really, really powerful technique. Okay, so moving on. You can also find tons and tons of reference at YouTube. And the reason I've got this down here is the Framestore approach is because companies like Framestore use lots and lots of video reference, and they will actually download the reference, import it into the shot, much like I just showed you with Henry's shot, and then use that as reference for the shot. And they'll even show it to the client so that they're not wasting time on blocking animation. They're just showing clips to see if that's the kind of thing that the client is looking for. And they'll spend a lot of time trying to find the perfect clip at YouTube that they can use for their animal or creature shot. Then you want to draw thumbnail sketches, and even if you don't draw well, you still want to do this. Just do it in rough, and you want to do storytelling drawings so that you have enough poses to tell the story. It is much quicker to do thumbnail sketches than to do poses in Maya, and that's why it's really important to do them. These are some thumbnail sketches of mine from Open Season, which I worked on at Sony ImageWorks back in 2006. It's Boog the bear. It's not really strictly, I guess he's more of a man in a bear suit rather than a realistic bear. But anyway, it shows you the kind of thing that we're trying to do. Thumbnail sketches can really, really help plan a shot. Here's a nice example by Victor Navona. You should check out his thumbnails online. He thumbnails all of his shots. He's a Pixar animator, and he assiduously saves his thumbnails and then uploads them to his blog. And this is a really nice example of a creature shot. This is a Kung Fu crab from Finding Dory, and you can see how he's approached the planning of the shot using thumbnail sketches here. So you'll get tons and tons of useful information about thumbnailing at Victor's blog. As I say, it's really important not to skip this stage. Then, once you've got your thumbnails working, you turn them into key poses in Maya. Now, at this point, there are two basic methods of working. There's the stepped curves method, which is for pose-to-pose animation, or the spline curves method, and that might be more for a locomotion shot, say, a dragon flying through the air or a creature walking along the ground. You're going to use spline or linear curves for that. If it's more pose-to-pose, then stick with stepped curves. Both methods are fine. It will depend on the shot, but you want to make sure you know which way you're going, and then follow that route. Then you want to get feedback. You want to do a pose test. So that could be on stepped curves or on spline curves, as we've said. But however you do it, you want to get feedback from other animators, lead animator, director, whoever's in charge. But don't be shy to show your work, and show your work early, because you really want to get early feedback on the shot, so that any mistakes, or if you're going down the wrong roads, that these get weeded out early on. Then once you get approval on your shot that it's going in the right direction, you want to start going to blocking plus, where you're adding breakdown poses. If you're on stepped curves, I highly recommend using this tool here, the Tween Machine by Justin Barrett. And again, going back to the blog, there is a post on the Tween Machine. What is the Tween Machine? It shows you where to download it, how to install it, everything you need to know. It's a great little plugin, really, really helpful, and particularly if you're on stepped curves, a really great way of adding breakdowns to your poses very, very fast and very, very efficiently. If you're on spline curves, you're still going to add breakdowns, but the Tween Machine won't help you so much. Although it can still be used. You can still use the Tween Machine if you're on spline curves. Anyway, you need to start adding breakdowns and then show it again, show your blocking plus, and then gradually refine the shot until right at the end add tentacles or whatever. This is a shot that I worked on from Voyage of the Dawn trailer. We had to add all these little wiggly tentacles on this sea serpent thing. There's a lot of work right at the end of the shot just to get all of that stuff going. So the system for planning animation is basically to watch the story reel, make sure that you really think hard about your shot and how it fits in with the rest of the project. Act it out in your head. Don't skip this stage, and act it out yourself or film other people acting out the shot. One or the other. If you film out yourself, you'll need somebody else to film you. I mean, if you act it out yourself, you'll need someone to film you, or you're going to need a tripod to stick the camera on and let it run while you act it out. And then you can use this reference to import it into Maya. You can also find great reference for animals and creatures, obviously, at YouTube. And then again, I can't emphasize this too much, don't skip this stage. Do thumbnail sketches and ideally time them out so you have some idea of the timing in your thumbnail sketches. Then those thumbnail sketches become your key poses in Maya. We call this blocking. You show a pose test, you get feedback, you add breakdowns, blocking plus, show it to the director again, keep showing it, keep getting feedback, blocking plus plus, and then spline, and finally refine. And that is the system that I would recommend for planning animal or creature animation.